Based on the 1991 novel series, The Vampire Diaries was a hit CW show that debuted in 2009, lasting 8 seasons, and spawned 2 spin-offs, The Originals and Legacies. It told the story of Stefan Salvatore, a vampire who returns home to Mystic Falls to see a recently orphaned girl named Elena Gilbert, who oddly looked just like the girl he fell in love with years ago. Stefan and Elena quickly fall for each other. In comes Damon Salvatore, his older brother, who Stefan had turned into a vampire all those years ago. Damon promised a lifetime of misery for Stefan for turning him, but spoiler alert, Damon becomes an ally and Elena eventually falls for him. The fascinating thing about The Vampire Diaries is we assume the story is about Elena. After all, her friends do so much for her along with the Salvatore brothers. Everything seems to be about her. By the end of the show, we came to the conclusion that the show is actually about the love and hate relationship between 2 brothers, Stefan and Damon. If one girl could take them to darkness, another, Lena, could take them to the light. Who would have thought such a concept could work on TV? Rewatch it if you haven't seen it in a while, and you'll see what we mean. There was a major turning point in the show, one that changes its whole dynamic. At the season finale of Season 3, Elena, who tells Damon she chooses Stefan, is driven off a bridge with Matt. As they drown, Elena forces Stefan to save Matt, but he was too late to save Elena. However, Elena had vampire blood in her system and turned into a vampire as a result of it, something Elena never wished for. At the Season 4 opening, she goes into transition, eventually becomes a vampire, and is sire to Damon. The sire eventually is gone, but Elena ends up with Damon anyway. So what if Stefan chose to save Elena first? It's the season finale of Season 3. As Elena is drowning, Stefan dives in and chooses to save Elena first instead of Matt. He tries to save Matt, but it was too late. Matt dies. Elena is upset at Stefan and blames herself for his death. She refuses to talk to Stefan or Damon. The episode ends at Matt's funeral, with Elena secretly leaving Mystic Falls with her brother Jeremy. At the season premiere of Season 4, we learned that despite Damon and Stefan's deal that one would leave if Elena chose the other, Damon and Stefan are trying to find Elena together. Bonnie fails at trying to find Elena with her powers, but we learn that she's actually lying to the Salvatores and that she felt it was best for Elena and Jeremy if they started a new life away from Mystic Falls. Damon is suspicious about Bonnie, knowing she has a secret, and we, the audience, know her other secret is that she transferred Klaus's spirit into Tyler. Klaus continues in Tyler's body till Bonnie is able to find a way to restore Klaus's body using dark magic. Klaus does return, but is sure he will find Elena one day, but for now he has enough blood bags to build hybrids. Rebecca doesn't destroy the bags. Meanwhile, Elena and Jeremy are living in Toronto, Canada, where they start a new life. Alaric had left behind an emergency fund which they were able to withdraw to make for the escape. It's the summer and Elena is working at a restaurant being paid cash and renting out an apartment. She managed to graduate high school early on. Jeremy, who is still in school as much as he misses Bonnie, is happier than ever and feels this is the best thing for both of them. Jeremy finds someone new to fall for, while Elena isn't interested in relationships. We get to see Elena and Jeremy living with some relief in their lives. Stefan and Damon cross the border and they finally find Elena. Elena tells Stefan that she chose him over Damon because of the man she thought he was, someone who was selfless. She was upset that Stefan chose her instead of Matt. Stefan said he couldn't live without her, even though he knew it was the wrong thing to do, but for a change, he wanted to make a decision that was for him, just this once. Elena tells Stefan that this is something Damon would have done, that although she loved Damon too, it was that distinction with Stefan that made him stand out over Damon. Stefan asks if Elena still loves him. Elena says she will always love them both, but wants to leave her old life behind. Eventually, Elena returns to Mystic Falls from new threats. Catherine continues to survive, returning whenever she pleases, but eventually is killed in the series finale. Silas does make an appearance, but none of that fate stuff between doppelgangers happens. The love triangle continues, with the audience wondering who Elena will end up with, even if she gets close with one or the other. Elena eventually chooses Stefan, as she does in the books. Although she does become a vampire in the books and an angel guardian after her resurrection, by the 6th season, Elena is killed as a human through a dark spell imposed on her in the show, since the actress was on her way out, but she is resurrected at the series finale and awakens as an immortal, but not a vampire, to live with Stefan forever, while Damon falls for someone you'd least expect, Bonnie. After all, they become very close over the next few seasons. Jeremy also exits the show at season 6 after being killed as a hunter. Caroline and Tyler finally end up together, and Tyler survives in the series finale. Enzo does get killed by Stefan, returns but is possessed and has to be killed. So what do you think of this what-if scenario? Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching In the Plot.